Awesome. No, I mean we can start now. Then with time, more people are going to be joining. So welcome to another AMA session. Today we are having AMA with Ascendance. With me, I have Les Compatriot, who's going to be my co-host. Les Compatriot, you want to say hi to John?
Oh, hi there. I'm just waiting for this AMA and all good. All good luck with all this. Thank you.
So thank you for that, Compatriot. John, do you want to introduce yourself to the community?
Introduce the project.
No, I mean introduce yourself to the community before we start with the project. They have to get to know who.
All right.
Yeah.
You can tell I just woke up. So I'm John, founder of Ascendance. We originally started this, beginning of November, tired of all the scams and everything. So, it's evolved quite a bit over all these months. I mean, I don't know how many revisions we've done, but it's been a ton of work, a lot of brainstorming with everyone. So hope everyone dug into it and has some good questions.
That's really great. I ain't the only one involved on Ascendance. For now you're gonna be the only one representing the team.
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just a little hard to hear you.
Okay, give me a second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Awesome. So I was asking if you're gonna be the only one representing the team, or you expecting other people from your team as well?
I mean, Clay should be here at some point. He's always so busy, but I'm hoping he can be here. Otherwise, I guess you guys just get me.
Okay. And do you mind doxing yourself, or are you just gonna be using an audio?
I don't handle the wallets or anything, so I'm not doxing. It goes against my principle of this project, so.
Okay. I guess we're gonna be finding more reason for that. So So first of all, you want to tell us about asset that came about with the idea. We'd like to know about that.
So, I mean, I had originally started thinking about this probably a year ago. And I was just, kind of tweaking it in my head and everything. And then, just getting rugged over and over and over. So, finally it pushed me over the edge to start this. It was just me solo in a chat by myself for probably a month before anyone really joined. And then, we just kind of, I don't know, we just stuck with it. I guess that's the best way to explain it. We got tons of feedback. Some people hated it at the time. So we just, listened to feedback, tweaked it, found better ways. And then, we've had multiple offers over the months, but I don't know, they were just horrible deals. And it's probably the same deals that a lot of these projects make, bulk buying supply, everything else. So, instead of just rushing it, we turned down the money and then just made sure that we tweaked it some more. And then here we are again.
That's really amazing. Yeah, of course it does. So a nice question to you is going to be, what is Ascendance trying to solve, and how can we benefit from Ascendance?
So the complicated question. So essentially, we're trying to tackle basically all the things you see in the space. It's not just rugs or anything else. We're trying to find a better way to do it to protect investors. Anything from marketing to, creating contracts. It's just all of it. Like everyone has their hand in the cookie jar, just trying to take more and more and more from people. So by the time they launch, they're already in the hole so much. So, that's just part of it. And then our ultimate goal is to just make it nearly impossible to rug projects. And, we can't just force people to do it because they would just go use another platform, obviously. So we're incentivizing them to join us. So in a way, they save money and make more money because they protected investors. So it's more of like it's not just a cookie cutter way to stop the problems. So we're more looking at the psychological way. Like, if you're a typical scammer or whatever, why would you spend this money? Maybe you'll make 10, 20,000, something like that. But if you tapped into our investors and you did it the right way, you can make substantially more. And, you can use our resources to actually get your project, whether it's real or not. They can help you make it happen.
That's really great. Basically, what Ascendance, from my opinion, is you guys are trying to stop the scams, right?
So, it's more than just that. It's just we're making it so investors are protected and project makers aren't spending a ridiculous amount of money to find investors. Because, scamming's only part of the problem. A lot of it's the backdoor deal that, these call channels do with people. If most of these people knew what type of deals these were, they would never invest in this space. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. So I would like to elaborate more. We've seen a couple of projects out there trying to do the same idea, trying to solve the scam issue, letting people not get involved in scam, and even the project owner themselves have to be safe as well. So I would like to know, what are the things Ascendant have put in place to stop all of this from happening? Because we've seen a lot of people doing the same thing, but at some point we realize that most of them have not been able to succeed. If we should look at the majority of the people who have been trying to solve the same issue. So I'd like to know what you and your team have put in place to make this work at this stage.
So this is kind of twofold, really. Because we're staggering out the platforms the way that we are, we're basically forced to rebuild them later on to tie into each other. So the first step is obviously with the Launchpad. And we're protecting people, just doing the standard typical way of, we're doing it at the contract level. We're not just going to let people do whatever they want with the contract. That's the first part. The second part is, we're not going to allow them to launch with us if they're holding supply. Because whether the contract's safe or not, if they're holding 20% of the supply, they can rug it at any time. I don't think anyone realizes how much 20% of supply is. And you see it on every single project. Like, if you dump 20% supply, the project's dead just instantly. So, that's kind of how we're going to do it at the start. And then once we get into the DEX level, we're blocking all call functions from contracts. So, it doesn't matter what people do with their contract. They can't access the liquidity. They can't stop trading. They can't do any of that. So, how we're doing it, I'm not going to reveal. But if you actually knew how smart contracts work and how scammers rug everything or mint and stuff like that, it's not that hard of a problem to stop. It's just you have to do it a sort of a unique way that nobody's done yet. It's the easiest explanation without me giving up anything.
No, I totally understand that. And most of the time, all of this information have to be keeping, had to, because we see people stealing ideas and stuff like that. So just for things like this to be successful, you have to be careful in sharing this information and stuff like that. So we totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what you guys are seeing is kind of 8 months of people trying to steal our concepts. So I essentially built an overlay of another project onto this one to protect the original concepts. So what you're seeing that we're building is maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a way for us to kind of convey what we're doing without revealing what we're doing.
I mean,
So it's a rather elaborate thing.
yeah, I totally understand that. This actually more of a security project. It's fighting against crime, and the truth is, I think I came across a project I think a few months ago, and it was actually fighting the same issue. And one of the things he was trying to make sure is he doesn't try to reveal it quite much, because if you're trying to fight scammers, if you're trying to fight people who take away people's money and stuff like that, you have to put in mind that they are going to fight you back, right? So one of the things they did is they don't try to try to draw it out really closer at first, because you're fighting against real scammers. It's not just someone who getting to know more about the space or something like that. So we totally understand the
So
fact that
I think
we're trying not to reveal much details.
So I think the misconception here is that we're trying to fight them, which I'm not, because you're just going to lose that battle. Because if you fight them, I mean, how many other platforms are there? They're just going to go use them. That's not how we're planning to stop it. Because people are scamming to make money, right? So the obvious solution is, how do you make them legit? How do you make them want to stick with their project? So, I mean, we're initially just going to save them money right off the bat, with the no cost launch pad. So, I mean, they can immediately make, 2% more than they would have going somewhere else. So that's our first step. The second step is giving them free contracts. I mean, who does that? We're not talking like, discounted contracts or whatever. I mean, totally free. So, anyone could just log on, make a contract, go right to the pad, launch their project. So we're simplifying the process in the space. It's not just like, I hate saying it's like just to stop scammers, because it makes us seem one-dimensional. Because we're really trying to fix all the annoying stuff in this space. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, the project isn't just like, you've seen this before, where every project, they just have one use case. That's their stick, and that's what they stick with. That's not us. Everything you see on our website and everything, it's barely a fraction of the project. It's just all that I can tell people without giving up stuff, and it's also, I don't want to go overboard because then people get confused. So it's just a simplified version of what we're doing. There's so many things built on top of that for us to build an entire ecosystem for our people.
Okay, so that's totally understandable. So my next question to you is, with you trying to come up with a new launchpad and trying to get a free contract for people, that's really an amazing idea. But you want to put in mind that there are a lot of platforms out there with launchpad, and they themselves tend to be fighting against scam. So how do you plan to compete with these ones? Imagine
Well, I mean, it's
platform
not even a
platform.
competition. I mean, I don't want to sound conceited, but it's not. I mean, anyone can do a launchpad. It's the easiest platform that requires the least amount of brain cells to make. Because, I mean, you can go on GitHub or whatever, pay $2,000, fork a, launch pad, and that's it. All people do is they take a launch pad, they add their little stick onto it, they change the branding, whatever, and then they launch it. Our launch pad is only there to funnel people into our platform. I'm not using it as our bread and butter, blah, 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 because I don't care about the monetary value from the launchpad. What we're giving people is a no-cost launchpad. We're giving them free contracts, free lockers, free everything, but it's in order to onboard them to the platform. So, I mean, that's why we're able to do no fees. So, I mean, I don't look at us as trying to compete with anyone, because who can? Everyone still has to have their fees attached to it, their 2%, or, they take supply on top of that. So the only other option right now is, GymPad, 2% of the capital raise, which is still a substantial amount of money. So, I mean, that's just kind of how you have to look at our project. Is we aren't just a launch pad. It's more of an ecosystem on how we build the community up.
That's great. I mean, I love the fact how about the CC, everything about that. But with you building all of those things, there's always something that's always unique about project like this. It's how you get the community involved, and you get their support, and because even if you do have the idea, without the community support, and it's really something that's you have to put a lot of effort. So how you, I mean, what are your plans to get the community involved on the project? Because it's with community, I think the word spread more faster, and I mean, getting people to believe in what you're building alone, it's something unique. So how are you planning to build a community who are gonna believe more in what you're building here, and stuff like that?
So we're taking a rather different approach to that. I don't know if everyone has kind of read everything that we're doing. So instead of, just being the typical release a token, give everyone a long list of a roadmap, maybe we'll do some of it, maybe we won't, maybe the token will die, maybe it won't. We're actually going to use each token that we're doing, since we're doing 3 of them. We're going to use each token and try to build out the platform with that token. And then, once we gain the trust of the investors, we give them another token. So we're building it up to scale the project, because, people get bored. You give them one token, maybe it's hyped for a month or something, but then slowly it just kind of fades off. We're kind of like an ADD project for people. If they're bored after a month or something, maybe we'll have something else for them, and then they can come back, and then we just keep expanding up, sort of that way. But it's also building trust as we go. So, like the way we're doing it to start is we're doing our Ascend token, and in between our ETH and BSC launch, we're going to give people our launch pad, so they can actually see us that we delivered on our roadmap. So then once we have that trust there, we're going to go even bigger on the next token, and then we're going to build the more expensive DEX, and we're just going to keep scaling it up. So, I mean, most platforms fail because, they launch with a platform and they have no user base. Nobody touches it. Maybe a couple people use it. Maybe a couple people buy the platform token, but ultimately it dies out. Because even like GymPad, people know about them, but they're still not competing with PinkCell, even though they're cheaper. So, I mean, it kind of just goes to show that it doesn't matter if it's cheaper, people still won't use it if they don't know about it.
100% correct. So, how is the NFT connected to what you're building?
So our NFTs, think of them more as the platform token, because we're not having a platform token for anything, because I think it's messy. I mean, you tie it to liquidity, everything, and I mean, the market tanks. I mean, you could kill your platform doing it that way. So instead of messing with that, we're tying our NFTs into half the platform revenue. It's the whitelist, the only whitelist on our launchpad. So it's not just early access for our tokens, it's the only access to our tokens and every token on our launchpad. So, I mean, there's a couple things I don't know if I should reveal with them. But essentially,
Yeah.
they're your DAO voting rights. We're not going to be a traditional DAO. We're not going to have, a treasury or anything like that. But it allows you to control other projects, like how they launch. So it's not just, devs set their how much they're taking, their fees, blah blah blah. The community is who's going to decide that, which is a rather unique way to do it. So, and then on top of all of that, our later plans are maybe going to require a seed round, depending on the cost of it all. So, I mean, we're only giving that to the angel investors first. I mean, it's not going to be a public thing. If we do with a venture capital firm, we would give our users, the same rate that we would give them. So, I mean, it's just because we have a lot of bigger plans down the road. It's not just we complete our roadmap and then the project's finished. Because we're always going to be expanding on everything. And then, the NFT holders are going to be the ones that kind of get to decide which direction we go. But there's a couple of things I'll never allow people to change. I mean, we're never going to monetize, we're never going to start charging people fees for the launchpad because, yeah, it makes them more money, but it also goes against our core principles of what we're doing. So we do have limits on what people are allowed to change. So that's why I say it's more DAO-like, but we're not a full DAO.
That's great. But I would like to know what makes the NFT really unique. Because NFTs become a trend in a space where people tend to make their NFTs and try to sell them at this, I mean once it's minted and stuff like that. So I'd like to know what makes the Ascendance NFTs really unique.
Oh, you want a full breakdown of them? So, we're not just selling people art or whatever, like most people do. We're not trying to make up got static. We're not trying to make up like, oh, buy our NFT, maybe you can get access to this, or hey, maybe it'll be worth some more money for you later down the road. Like, I don't want to do NFTs like that because I personally hate them. So our NFTs, we tried to make it so all 1,000 people, or say if every single person minted one, all 1,000 people would have a utility with it. So 2 sets, we did the rarity rewards and then the trait rewards. So the numbered rewards, everyone will get something no matter where they mint. And then they can get on top of that, the trait rewards, like 20% of the token control, something like that. So we really tried to give everyone multiple returns on investments with their NFTs. It's not just buy our NFT, maybe the value goes up. I think I'm being overly generous with them, which I've been told, but you got to be different in the space, so this is the best way to do it.
That's great. Sounds like you have things really in place here. And so, how long have you been working on Ascendance? I think the community here would like to know how long people have been surviving and stuff like that.
So, man, we're about a week shy from 9 months that we've been doing this. So, I mean, it's been a struggle. We've had, we've gone through and we've had people offer us, seed funds and stuff like that. But the deals just never felt right for us. So we've just kind of evolved and evolved everything over these months. Every time we go and talk to a new marketing team, we learn what they didn't like or what somebody may have said, and then we tweak it. So, I mean, it's just all trial and error. This isn't our first time just coming out to people and then, oh, this is wrong, sort of thing. So, I mean, this has been almost 9 months of work and planning to just fine tune the entire brand and our use case, everything. I just hope everyone appreciates how much work went into all this.
Pretty great. So before I'm going to continue with my question, Lance Kampachi, if you have anything to say, please go ahead.
Thank you, Caleb. John, are you good?
Oh yeah, I've just had a coughing attack. Sorry.
If you want a break, you can just have some water. It's all right.
Oh, you're fine.
Man, okay, project is pretty good. Well, you mentioned you've been working for it for a couple of more than half a year, and yes, when you mentioned that people might be trying to capsize this thing, it's true, because while I was trying to dig up stuff about the AMA and stuff, I was talking to somebody, and the concept, I had this I have seen this somewhere, but they were the people that launched something like that was never able to do it. How to do it? Well, the 8 months of preparations and you would say 8 months of brainstorming. Well, I'm very bullish on this thing, and well, even while reading the initial description on the website, it just shares of that a lot of mind has been just to write the small 2 paragraphs. A lot of effort has been put in. It gives you the vibes that it is not generally what you can say a generic paragraph from copied from somewhere. That is actually good concept there. While mentioning the NFTs, the art is pretty good. So can you mention who is the designer for this?
Oh yeah, his name is Jack. I mean, he's worked on some pretty big projects. I mean, he's had Times Square billboards multiple times. He's had branding for projects with his art. So he kind
So
of
you have
fell into our lap. Sorry, what was that?
so you have sorry, please continue.
So he kind of fell into our lap with our last marketing team. And, we just we meshed so well. Like, I felt like he was just in my head with everything I wanted done. I didn't have to explain it to him because I have a particular design that I wanted this to be. Like, even down to the NFTs. Like, these angels were planned months and months ago before we ever made them. We just kind of told him our idea of the angels, and then he just whipped them out just perfectly. So, I mean, I know we're not selling the art, but I think he did an amazing job on them.
Yes, Jack definitely did a good job. One of my questions were they actually angels or were they Valkyrie? Because they were in the battle gear and stuff. So yeah, as you mentioned, they are right, not Valkyrie.
So you're asking if we just got the images from somewhere, if we made them?
No. I'm just saying that, just confirming the NFTs are actually angels, not Valkyrie, right? Because they were in battle gear and stuff, so it gives the impression that they're battle ready. And something like Norse, we have Valkyrie, right? If you are familiar with that concept, Valkyries and gods, Norse gods, Thor and all that. Just leave it, I guess. I'm confusing you there.
Yeah, sorry, I don't understand.
All right, man. Just coming back to the project, can you give us more specifics about how this market cap to buy sell ratio will work? Because that is a very good thing, but also very confusing. So if you can just give a more brief description on this.
So, I mean, anyone who's been in the space has seen, the token gimmicks, buyback, everything else that they're trying to do to raise the market cap up. And the mistake that everyone makes is they overcomplicate it, because you need to look at it not from just a mathematical perspective or whatever logic that they're using with this, at the end of the day, it's all down to psychology. If you're an investor and you're looking at the chart of a token, are you going to buy if you just see multiple sells over and over and over from a few wallets? Like every time a big buy comes in, big sell, like over and over. So this token, Ascend, it's basically a simple way to cut down on sell pressure. Everyone's allowed one sell per day for a set amount of money at the exact market cap. So, it's really super, super easy to understand. We're not doing it based on supply, because I personally hate that, because you never have any idea what you're allowed to sell. So we just want to make it simple. If you're at this market cap, you can sell this much. Sell it once, and then you're good. Come back tomorrow. The chart hopefully didn't die on you because, all the sell limits, and then sell again if you want more money. Or you hold it for longer if you want. Sell for more money. So we're giving people a reason to hold it by doing scaling selling. So the higher the market cap, the more money you can sell for. So it's more encouraging for people to hold. We don't need to rely on gimmicks or anything else. It's just, leave your money in. We're going to help try to make the market cap go up for you, but it's not our main concern, obviously, because anyone who does that, I feel, is a scammer. So we're just offering people value, which encourages them to buy. So, it's just, we're giving people the necessary tools for the token to succeed. We're not going to interfere with it by holding supply, anything like that. It's just good old-fashioned tokenomics for people.
Yeah, man, this is a good concept. 500 limited to this. So that will be applied to all the tokens that are being launched with this thing, right? They will have mandatory, or it's optional that they can't do this.
So we're not finalized on the numbers for the token yet. The beginning numbers are probably going to be that. Let me pull it up. But when you get into like obviously I'm just putting it there. I don't know if these tokens are ever going to do this. But like 5,200 mil market cap, you're allowed 20,000 sell. I might go through and reduce those numbers down at the top end, just because I feel like it's almost too much per day. We don't want to just have a massive dump because everyone held until the very top and then the token's dead. But all these tokenomics don't apply to the next token or the one after that. This is sort of a baseline for what we're going to do, but the next tokens are going to be total reworks of this one. I can't give up too much of the info for it, but it's going to be similar, where we're going to protect people from, bots and everything else dumping it constantly. But we're doing a different way. Like Ascend is meant to go higher in market caps. The other tokens necessarily aren't. Like there's a different thing we're doing with them where it doesn't necessarily matter. Like we don't need it to go 100 million in market cap or whatever. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Okay, the part or the question was, is it? Yeah, of course, you said that it could change. The numbers might change. But do the projects launching have the option that they might partake or might not take this as an option? Can they forego this and still be part of the launch?
What do you mean, not accept the sell limits?
Yeah, the sell element that if they don't want, might be you can say it is sort of anti-whale in a way, right? A few people, 500 for initially 500 is not a huge amount, not anymore at least, to many people on the space. $500 and $1,000, and many projects don't reach the amount, this limit market cap of 5 million, even after months and 6 months of this thing, right? And as you said, for most projects that will be coming initially might just be for the 0% of no tokens and no amount of value raised, they won't taking it. So probably they were trying to save a bit of funds on their end. So you can say that they won't be trying very hard the market cap initially. Yeah. So will there be option to forego this? Like they don't want to be partake of it because people investing might not be the competent sort of thing, right? They don't want because projects are there that seek this thing. So you won't allow projects that they don't want to have this, or it is sort of mandatory.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to cater to what people want in terms of selling, because what they want is to pump their bag at the cost of everyone else in the project or the token, whatever. So I mean, whatever their opinion is, that involves how can they like an easier way for them to sell their bag. Like I'm not interested in their opinion, because what they want is self-involving. Like they don't care about anyone else. I'm thinking about the project and the token as the whole. I'm protecting other investors. So if people don't like the sell limits, don't buy it. I'm not going to beg people to buy into something to make them money. It's weird. So I mean, I'm sticking to my guns on all the tokens. I'll let them change certain aspects or have a vote on how we structure things for the future tokens. But with Ascend, I'm dead set on it. I mean, they can either accept the sell limits or go somewhere else and get rugged. I mean, it's not really my problem.
All right.
That seems hostile, but I've been in so many projects, and I've seen the devs, say like a buyback token. You'll have, like, say the top 5% of holders. They'll threaten the dev saying, "Hey, we're gonna unload our bag unless you use buyback." So what happens is the dev gets scared. They pump $200,000-$300,000 into the buyback, and guess what the whales do? They immediately sell their bag, and then they just dump the chart. So I mean, you need to have a backbone in this space. If you're going to run a project, stop pandering to your investors, trying to please every single person. People need to, it's their project. They need to stick to what they're doing because it's their vision.
George, I totally agree with what you said. People don't have the backbone. From what you're saying and all that stuff, I really get the concept that you have been in the marketing space before this for a long while. Just get the feeling that you have done a lot of marketing for things. All right, something else is that the security audit, the one that will be provided by the project. So you are in partnership with any of the audit firms, or you are doing it on your own? What team will be doing it?
So we're going to have a couple of people look at it. I mean, I'm not going to commit to anyone yet until the token's made. But I mean, my main concern first is using a dev that doesn't have a bad track record. Like if they're known in this space and they've been on a lot of failed things, like a couple people I won't name, like they're not going to touch our token. So I mean, I'm not going to use an audit to say it's safe. Our purpose of an audit is to check code, because when we're doing sell limits, we need to make sure that they function. Because if you mess them up, I mean, you're going to honeypot everyone. But all our tokens are going to be done the same way. We're not going to hold supply. We're going to renounce pretty much every malicious function we can. The only way you can change tax is to lower it. So we're not going to say, "Oh, our tax is 10%, but our slippage is 18%," because I mean that's the oldest trick in the book that people do. So I mean, we're giving people the foundation with the safest possible token we can do, and then that way that we build trust. I would be stupid to mess any of these tokens up. It messes up our future plans, because honestly the tokens are for investors. We're making nearly nothing from it, with the no buy tax and stuff like that. Holding no supply. So we're just trying to do things differently to build trust. It's not about us just releasing tokens, making money, if that makes
So
sense.
what I get is that the team will be the team that will be doing checking the audit for stuff and so on will be in house, right? And no partnership for any of the audit firms. Is that what I get? And yes, you'll be doing the
Oh,
rec check and before posting, allowing it to be available on the launchpad. Right.
so we're not going to have an in-house dev for the token because personally I don't need it and I don't want somebody else running the contract. So, I mean, we're going to look into different audits. I mean, we'll get a couple audits done if we have the time. So, I mean, we're not going to use Certic or any of that because it's rubbish, personally. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're not partnering up with a dev or an audit company or anything like that. I'm
John,
focused on using the best that we can use.
John, I was saying in terms of the launchpad and what you're going to in for now. In terms of launchpad, will you be seeking audit firms to do a partnership with them so that when a project comes with you, they do the audit with them and sort of like KYC and audit badges we get on Ping Sale and Jumppad and stuff.
Oh, you're
Will they be
saying for other projects?
yes, because I was just talking about the launchpad, so I assumed that would get to this. So I was talking about will you be providing in-house audits for the projects that are being launched, or will you be doing partnership in future with other audit firms?
Oh, I gotcha. Sorry. We were talking about the token and then you started talking about audits. So we're not auditing people's contracts. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I'm not doing it. What we're going to actually do is we're going to onboard specific devs. I don't want to say it's a partnership or anything like that. We just want to make sure that we have a network of the most trusted people that we can use. And then in order for them to be able to launch with us, they're going to go in and they're going to renounce every single malicious function they have in the contract. So either they have two choices. They use our contracts or they have our dev or whoever our partner for the pad is go in and renounce all their functions. Like, I don't care about doxing or anything like that. Rugs start at the contract level, let's be honest, and then secondary is holding supply. Because, I mean, as we all know, audits, everyone uses them in this space like, hey, we got Certic audit, we're safe, blah, 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 and then they rug the next day or something like that. So I'm not going to tell people, hey, it's audited, it's safe, buy it now, because that would be stupid. It would kill our platform. So, I mean, it's all just a learning process. I mean, if something does happen with a project launch, we're going to look at it and then we're going to change it immediately. We're not going to just say, oh, oops, sorry, guys, better look next time. Because the things we're doing, I don't think have necessarily been done. So it's all just a learning process for us and we'll just tweak it as we go.
All right, Sean. That is sort of good, I would say. And yes, I believe that getting an audit generally in long term doesn't mean it's a lot of stuff. Somehow, some projects, if they want to do something, they find a way. And even anything that is audited, even by Certec or any of the top tier stuff, does find faults a week or a month later anyway. That's how
So, I
I'm
mean,
feeling.
I don't know if you guys have ever actually read audits and stuff like that, even Certic audits. They will have, say 10 serious issues or errors or something like that, or red flags, and they still pass them. Like, it's absolutely baffling how you can pass an audit when you have potential rug features embedded in the contract. Like, you have skim wallets, everything, and they point them out and then they still pass them in the audit. So, I mean, one of our main focuses is getting rid of audits because I think it's absolutely stupid in this space. People use it for marketing. It's no different than, hey, we got listed on CoinGecko or whatever. It's the only reason people get audits now, and the audit companies know it. They raise their rates, they profit, people get rugs still. So, I mean, it's an infuriating thing. So when you're trying to stop scams, it's more more of a bigger problem to stop, if that makes sense. It's not just one person doing it. Sorry, I have a baby crying. I don't know if you can hear it.
Anything. You have a good mic.
Yeah, I do. Sorry. So you can ask me another question.
Sort of clears a lot of stuff. When you said audit, I don't know. I'm not specifically. I won't say that I'm aligned to that. That audits are not necessary, but yes, people don't actually see. It just says when people say it's audited, they don't actually read it. And when say 91% or 89%, they say yeah, it's audited. So it's safe. You don't, yeah, but that you can't blame audit firms for that. The people mostly in the BSc or the sol space, they are not so educated or interested in knowing the project than just making quick money. That is how I feel, at least. Is the contracts you will provide it. So that will be something like a baby contract that is provided by Pink Sale, or like you will be doing with something like specific contracts for specific needs, something like that.
So I don't want to get too involved in what we're doing with the tokens or the contracts, because some of it is it ties into our decks, and I don't really want to reveal it yet. But we're not using just other people's contracts or whatever. And we're not just going to have a fixed contract, one size fits all, because it doesn't work, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm trying not to annoy you guys with baby crying.
And thank you for answering all that. I think I covered all. I've taken a lot of time and covered a lot of questions that I had in mind. Thank you, Caleb. Please take over that. And thank you, John.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for that, Kampachi. So now we are gonna move to the marketing part. So to get my exposure on the project, what are the marketing plans you guys have in store to get more exposure on the project, so the people can get to know what you're building and stuff like that?
Sorry, you want to know what our marketing plans are?
Yeah, because I mean the Goldie Go.
So with our marketing, I've kind of shared it in chat, our struggles with it. But I mean, we're just having, we're kind of sick of it, because everyone marketing in this space is just out to scam you. I mean, it's so bad. So I'm essentially just going to take it over right now. We're just going to brute force it. We're just going to keep spreading the word through every single community, and then we're just going to keep growing it that way. Because I refuse to pay, $10,000, $20,000 for a call.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Hold on, give me a minute. A lot of crying.
Yeah, sorry, I had a call. So, like I was saying, I say that there are a lot of projects a lot of people who don't know about the accident finance, and one of the way right now you've been getting exposure on the project is by doing AMAs. I mean, aside from AMAs, what do you have in store for people to get to know about accidents? What are the marketing plans you have in store?
So we're just going to kind of stick with this approach. I mean, we only started marketing, I think, 2 days ago now, where we did our first AMA. So we're just going to, we've already gotten quite a bit of people just in 2 AMAs. So we're just going to keep scaling it up, getting bigger and bigger. I don't want to do calls or anything like that, because it doesn't work and it just burns money. So we're going to essentially offer people private, like more of an early access bonus. Sorry, I'm getting stuff from your mic. There we go. So we're going to give people, the early people that barely, since we're so unknown right now, we're able to give kind of a special thing to people with our NFTs. So we're just going to kind of spread the word slowly and build a reputation that way with investors. And then once we mint out, we're going to hit the marketing really hard with the money and then prepare for the token launch. So the NFT buyers aren't launching into, absolutely no hype or anything like that. We want to have the buy pressure there at the time of launch because that's where the tokenomics shine for people. Because if a lot of people are buying right at launch and then they can only sell once per day, I mean, it's just going to generate more and more hype because we're not going to get micro-botted by, people selling 20 cents at a time, trying to bring the chart down, stuff like that. So really that's what the sell limits are for, to prevent that. Because anyone who's ever been in a big project has seen it. You will see these constant micro sells because all people will see is red, and it's a psychological thing to where, red means, oh no, the token's dumping, so better sell. So, I mean, that's really what we're going to do for people. We're not going to do the traditional things like DEX tools, trending, coin market cap, coin gecko, blah, blah, blah. Because every single project does it, and every single project can barely cross $1 million market cap right now. I mean, they're lucky to even hit 500,000. So, I mean, if all these things worked and all these people spend $100,000 on marketing, why aren't they actually doing anything? So we're just trying to do things a more organic way, reaching out to investors. As you've seen, I'll sit here and talk to you guys for hours. And I'll do it in my chat or your chat or any chat. It doesn't matter. I just like talking to people. So, I mean, that's our marketing. I'm selling us. I'm selling myself. Because if you don't like me, then you're not going to like my project. So it's kind of just outreach.
That's great. And another thing that kind of bothered me was your tokenomics. Looking at it, you say you're gonna be having a 0% buy tax. How are you gonna protect the anti-bots from getting involved on the project? Because that have always been a couple of issues with some projects out there.
Sorry, I don't know how loud my baby is for you guys. So the anti-bot, that's part of why we're doing the sell limits. Because, if you've seen in other tokens that do a percent base, like say you can only sell 1% of supply per day, it's all placebo. Because 1% of supply is a lot of supply. I don't think people realize that, but a majority of holders aren't going to have 1% of supply. So who are your sell limits actually protecting? So we're allowing people to sell one time per day. It doesn't matter if you're selling $1 or the max of 500,000, whatever the limit is at the time. You get one time to sell. Don't mess it up. So with the bots, they can't micro dump, a fraction of a percent of supply, like selling for 20 cents, because that 20 cents counts against their daily sell limit. So they sell 20 cents, they can't sell again for 24 hours. So have at it.
Okay, I think you've explained that part in regards to. Then what about your smart contract? Are you kind of coming up with a new concept, or you still go with the trending one that you have to get, audited and stuff like that?
Oh no, I would never fork a contract. So we're having it all built ground up for whether it's the tokens or the platforms, like because launchpads, they need a ton of smart contracts. So yeah, we're building it ground up, start to finish, custom coded.
That's great. I would love to get back a little bit into the launchpad. So what's gonna make the launchpad really different? Is it that you guys are not gonna be collecting amount of token from from the project owners, and if you don't do that, how do you tend to benefit or getting some profit from those projects who are going to be investing or are going to be launching the project in your launchpad? How are you going to generate income if you have to come up with your own launchpad? We'd love to know about that.
Okay, so this is where I'm to blow people's minds. You ready?
Go ahead.
So we're not doing a launch pad for money. I could literally do it absolutely no listing fees, no nothing, and be perfectly fine with it. So our monetization for the pad, I'm not going to get into because for obvious reasons, I don't want people to steal it. But think of a launch pad as not just a launch pad. It's going to be sort of the entry portal to everything that we're doing. So we're going to be building forums on top of it. Like, I'm talking actual forums, not just some generic half-baked thing. Like, I want to replace Reddit for how it functions. So we want to build an entire ecosystem where, our investors, our angel holders, are going to set the foundation for every project that's launched. Because if you're just allowing anyone to buy your project, you're most likely going to get dumped by influencer whitelist and stuff like that. So the NFTs aren't just your key to, our project or whatever. We want you guys to be the foundation of every single project that launches with us. So, I mean, it's a hard concept to grasp, but we're not just a launch pad or whatever. Like, I don't care about the launch pad. I'm using the launch pad to build out our bigger plans and for you guys to be the first ones into good projects that you like. You don't have to do all this stuff like jump through hoops to get a whitelist spot, blah, blah, blah. Worry about, the colors dumping on you. So, I mean, we want all of our users to be the very first ones. Doesn't matter what launches. If it's safe, you guys are available to get first rights to it. So, I mean, I think the NFTs just for that function serve a massive use case. I think that's where most people are going to make their money.
That's really kind of surprising because I've never seen anyone with this concept, because I believe with all launchpad, even with the well-known launchpad like DXL, Pinkcell, Gempad, just that the difference is most of them charge a little bit lesser, while others charge kind of high on stuff like that. Some charge, I think, 3 to 4 BNB or less than that, So, but with the concept you're bringing up, it's kind of different. And so, what I'd like to know is, in the long run, right? Since this is actually a different concept, in the long run, how are you going to sustain the project? Since you're not
So I don't
how you gonna
need why we're doing the 3 tokens is to sustain the team, really. Like, we're not going to rely on fees from the platform and stuff like that until we achieve the bigger goal. Like, that's when we get paid. We want to give people what we're telling them we're going to give them before we actually make the money. So with our launchpad, I mean, we're not taking fees. We're going to have a list fee just to avoid people, like every single person flooding our pad, because we don't want 10,000 listings of people wanting funding. So we're just doing the fee for that. We're giving half back to the holders. And then we're just using that kind of onboard everyone.
All right. So, tell me more about the whitelist spot. I would like to know how the function is different. You say that anyone getting involved on the project has the opportunity of earning $250 plus on the whitelist spot, and they will have to hold an NFT. So, we would like to later elaborate more on that. How is that possible?
So do you want to know the whitelist with the token or with
Yeah, I mean, you said anyone who's gonna get involved in the whitelist will have the opportunity of earning up to $250 plus. So we'd like to know how that works and how you came up with that idea as well.
So I mean, it's how every token is now is they do an AMA and then they hand out a whitelist spot. They do some more AMAs, some calls, they hand out more whitelist spot. I mean, I've seen as much as 3,000 whitelist spots. So, I mean, I want to kind of eliminate that. I want to create every launch that we do, we want it to be more of a private thing for people. So whether it's our tokens or other people's tokens, we want our people to always be the floor, no matter what the project is. So, I mean, I'm not doing a public release of our tokens. We want our NFT people to be the ground floor before we ever go public. So it's just, you guys would always be at the ground level. So no matter what, I mean, you're in. You don't have to battle anyone or do that. You don't have to worry about, getting dumped on right at launch because you missed it. So, I mean, I think that brings a lot of value to holders.
That's kind of really different because we all know that most of the project out there, if you want to get a whitelist spot, is either maybe you be promised that you're gonna have maybe like 2x during the launch or something like that. But with this concept, it's kind of different. We okay to accept something different, but um, how can this kind of get believable for the investors here? I mean, just for me to hold an NFT and get involved in your whitelist spot, and I had the opportunity of having $250. How is that going to be possible? Because I still don't understand the concept. So I'd like you to explain more about that, and even to the investors here, how that is kind of possible in that regard.
So, I mean, it's really quite simple. I mean, I want people to think of NFTs like a key. Like, that's how we're building them. They're a key. They're not just a piece of art or whatever. So, I mean, we're giving them utility. We're like, I mean, as people have kind of figured out with me, is we don't just do something just to do it. There has to be a reason for it. So we want to give the people who believed in us at the start a use case, but we also want to bring the NFTs value for them. So by giving people so much utility with them, we're hopefully giving people multiple avenues to make money. We don't want people to just buy our NFTs and then have no purpose for them. Like, hey, maybe we'll find a use case for them down the road, blah, blah, blah. So the NFTs are going to be how we build out our community by offering them things that nobody would ever do. So everything we're doing is more psychological. It's not just, oh, we saw one person do it, we liked it, so we replicated it. Like, that's not how my brain works. So, I mean, part of why we're doing the AMAs is to get feedback from people. If they find some type of flaw with my thinking, I want to hear it. Because, I mean, somebody can tell me they don't like something and I will rebuild the entire project to make it work. Like, that's how we've evolved this project is if there's a better way to do it, then we're going to do it for people.
Wow. So is this gonna be applicable to those who use a launchpad in the future as well? I mean, would they have to go through the same process, something like this?
So basically, it's always going to remain this way. We're not going to give it to just regular people. So if you own an NFT now, and then a year down the road, you're still going to get the same functionality. We're not going to just hand it out because it's what keeps everything so exclusive. Because we don't have 10,000 NFTs to water it down, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's only 1,000 of them, which really isn't much. So, I mean, we're keeping it low to keep the scarcity there and to make it more valuable for people like, hey, I was an early person and I only got one of 1,000 of these. So we want to create it more of a closed environment we don't need 10,000 people holding our NFTs to seem relevant. So that's why, we were asked in our other AMA, like, which has more value, our tokens or our NFTs? And it's kind of it's a trick question. Because, I love all our tokens, so I'm not going to sit here and say that they hold no value. But the NFTs are our platform. So it's a different type of thing. Like, I want people to get our NFTs to be the floor of our tokens and other people's tokens. So it all ties into itself. That makes sense. Like, it's not just, a dead end, like you're going down a road and then it's a roadblock. Like, we want everything to come full circle with everything. Everything should tie into itself.
That's great. I think that's all of my question for you. Before we can move to the community, feel free to keep on saying, anything we must have missed or we haven't touched, before we can get question from them. But otherwise, if you don't have anything, we can then move to the community for that question.
So I don't know how much you've kind of dug into things.
No, go ahead if you. The more important thing.
So I feel like you're kind of just narrowing in on our launch pad.
Say what?
So we're not just a launch pad, like, at all. Like, it makes us sound cheap. So I just kind of want to put that out there. We have the Ascend swap, we have the Ascend NFT, we have the Ascend locker. I feel like you're kind of missing 90% of our project.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I say she keep on saying what we haven't touched on, and because actually this is actually a new idea, and not everyone is definitely familiar with something like this, especially when you're trying to build out something new. So it's really important you try to elaborate more on the things we haven't touched and what you're trying to build up there.
Ugh, this might take a while. I hope you're ready. All right, so I'm going to break down kind of what's already on the website for everyone. So, with the Ascend pad, the main selling point for that is the 0% fees. We're not going to take your tokens. We're not going to take your capital raise, stuff like that. And, I've already gone over the whitelist for our NFT holders. There is no NFT or any whitelist support outside of NFTs. I just want to make that clear. We're not just tacking it on, watering it down, like, oh, hey, here's a little bit of a utility. The only way to get whitelisted into the pad is owning the NFTs. And then after that, we have the marketing, because in this space, it's a problem. So we're going to, through all of our struggles and everything, we're going to build a team for others to help them market their project from the get-go. Additionally, if people protect investors, we're going to give them things nobody else would do. And that's essentially super cheap marketing within the platform. We're not going to charge $20,000 for DEX tools, stuff like that. We want to make it affordable for the little guys to be noticed. Whether their project's a dog token or it's a platform, we want everyone to have a fair shake. So, and then on top of that, we're going to support private sale in a different way. We're not just going to, handle it sort of like send your money here, maybe you'll get tokens at the end. The NFT owners are going to be the ones that pick who gets funded and who doesn't. This is more of a limited perk. Like, we're not going to give it to all NFT holders. It's only, I don't know the exact number because I don't know the exact rarity because we have it hidden. But I think it's something around 70 or 80 NFT holders will have this perk to get into this room. So then on top of that, we're doing free liquidity locks, which isn't technically new. Other people have done it. But the difference is we're doing it for any project, whether it's on our platform or others. We'll lock their liquidity up, and the minimum is 6 months. So instead of developers just intentionally failing, waiting out the liquidity, like, oh, like, hey, we have $100,000 in here, we're just going to let the project die, and then that money's ours. We're never going to allow them to access that liquidity at any point or at any time. If we ever do give it back, it's going to be back to the people's holders. Because end of the day, liquidity is holders' money. It's not the developers or anything like that. So, I mean, we've kind of gone over the free contracts. We're going to give people contracts, but the contracts are tied into our platform. We're not just going to hand them free contracts to go do whatever they want on other platforms. So in order to get the free contract, you're tied into our launchpad. Like, there's no way around it. We're not going to let people do it a different way. So all of these contracts are going to be treated like our contracts. All the malicious functions will be renounced. Nobody can increase the tax on you. All of that stuff. So, I mean, that's just kind of a brief overview of the ASCEND. So then let's get into the big boy, the ASCEND swap. So at the time of deployment, whether you just add liquidity to your contract, whatever, it's automatically locked. You're never going to launch a project and have the liquidity unlocked. We've all seen it. It scares everyone. And, a majority of them, they just rug it right after. So as soon as trading goes live, your liquidity is locked. There's no exception around it. So, I mean, on top of that, we're giving half of all volume fees from the DEX back to the NFT holders. This is where we monetize our platform, is through the swap. Think of ASCEND as the way, like the front door. We want people to go through the door and then get onto our platform. And this is the best way that we can do it. So one of the features we're doing that isn't necessarily new, but I haven't seen anyone actually do it right, is we're getting rid of contract sales on all contracts. You have people, they like Green Pie, whatever their name is now. They're doing a poor man's version of this. They're doing it at the contract level to where you have to use their contracts in order to not have contract sales. I think it's a cop-out. And I mean, basically anyone can do this. It doesn't take a lot of money. So ours is actually going to be at the DEX level. So it doesn't matter what contract you use. There's no contract sales. So, I mean, that's also a very important part into stopping scams, because people always overlook how much money people are making because, they're holding 20% of the supply, and, all that money is going to the contract wallet. And who owns the contract wallet? The devs. So it complicates things by allowing them to sell and people not noticing it because they hold so much supply. So that's one of the things we're stopping. I'm not going to get into exactly how it's going to work, but this is a key into how we stop scams. So I'll get into the anti-bot protection for the swap. So, I mean, every launch you see it, whether it's on, Pancake Swap or whatever, the second you add liquidity, bots immediately scoop up the supply because, they just ping the contract over and over and over. So we're going to front run basically every launch to protect, against bots. We're not going to we're not going to have some overlay that, like a plugin that comes into the platform. I mean, it's going to be at the platform level that we have the anti-bot protection. So then, we're going to have it audited by not just somebody in this space. We're going to actually use more of a private company to audit the entire platform, especially the swap. because I'm not entirely decided if we're going to have the platform built by anyone in this space. My goal was always to have an entire company build it out, because if they were to scam me, I can actually go after them for it. So, I mean, we're not just going to throw it out there. Like, I need to protect concepts and stuff like that for people. So let me go on to the NFT part of it for the Ascendant NFT. So we're going to create essentially an OpenSea type platform. I'm not going to use doxing, the same with our other platforms. I'm never going to use doxing to guarantee somebody's protected. NFTs are a bit unique because there's no liquidity in them. So how do you protect investors' money when there's no liquidity? So with this, it's not going to be full-on anti-rug. We're just trying to minimize people's losses by not just handing everyone the money, if that makes sense. And, our NFT holders are going to be the ones that decide all of this with each project. And then those NFT buyers of those projects also get a say-so in how their money is handled. So we're essentially turning every NFT project into a DAO. Whether it's ours or other people's, it's going to be a DAO. So, I mean, like everything else, we're doing the trade fees half back to holders for everything we do. We're doing the anti-rug, just like everything else. We don't want people to just run off with investors' money. So if we can try to, even if we stop people from losing 80% of their money, it's still better than what's currently being done with NFTs where everyone loses everything. So, and then on top of this, it's going to be the same as the pad. We're doing the angel funding for other projects if they need it, but they're the ones that get to vote on it. I'm not going to pick whoever wants what. I mean, it's purely the NFT owners' choices. So then let's get on to SendLocker. So the SendLocker is essentially, your standard token locker. There's nothing going to be super crazy as far as the functionality. What's different is it's totally free for everyone else. It doesn't matter what platform, what project, whatever. Everyone can use it for free, 6-month lockup time. And then if nobody approves the relock, it's going to relock automatically for longer. So we're doing some other stuff on top of this that I'm not going to get into. But we're going to essentially do a DAO within the locker for people. But it's not just going to be our NFT holders. It's going to be a DAO for the project or for the holders that own those specific projects. They're going to get to decide what happens to it. And then we're also going to kind of tie in a liquidity migration because people intentionally fail in order to get people to send them their tokens so they can say, hey, we're migrating, and then they steal the money. So we're going to also block that ability. We're never going to allow people to handle the liquidity. Even during a migration, it's never going to happen because we would be kind of stupid to overlook that very basic tactic people use to scam people, which is, hey, send us all your supply. We're going to migrate to version 2. And then when you migrate to version 2, suddenly there's all these new wallets that hold supply. The liquidity is somehow less than what was taken. I mean, it's all just an organized scam. So the fundamentals of this project is taking a look at all these methods that people use in order to steal investors' money. We're not just a pad. We're not just trying to stop a contract rug. It's a whole ecosystem that we're trying to build in order, to protect investors' money. So, I mean, we can't exactly explain what this project is in writing. It's so complicated and our goals are so big that, I mean, people would stop reading after, 10 minutes or even 5 minutes because it's so much that we're doing for people. End of the day, I mean, we're doing this project for people. It's not for our own personal gain, because if it was, I would have launched it, 6-7 months ago. We have to do it right for investors in order to ensure that we're able to complete our roadmap. So the NFTs and the tokens and everything else is all thought out in order to how best can we achieve our goals, because development costs are astronomical. I don't think people realize how expensive this is. But I mean, let's just say you can buy many, many houses for how much all this is going to cost. So I just want people to kind of, sit back and think about every single one of those functions that we have listed cost money. It's not just, hey, we pay for a platform, bam, it's one price. Every single thing needs to be custom coded in order to function exactly how we need it to work. So I just want people to kind of understand the scope of this project. It's not just one thing and then we're done and then, hey, better luck next time. This is years and years and years of roadmap, and this is only part of it that we're kind of sharing with people. I think that should be it. I think I kind of went over the basics.
Thank you very much for that. And we actually love the fact you were able to elaborate on those points, because this actually differently a new concept. And we actually love the way you break it down, because you mentioned the launchpad, you mentioned um, the contract, the antibot system, and you're able to break that down. So that can actually give us a sense that you are trying to actually build a new ecosystem in here where it's going to protect the investors from scam, which is really really amazing, because I believe in here a lot of us have been scammed before. A lot of us have been through a lot of things. I mean, out of 100% of, I believe even 99% of us have been involved in scam, and we all hope that someone can save us that day. If accident is here to make that possible, right? I think it should be something that we all want to give our support to, and we just want to guarantee that you guys are not going to back down. You guys are going to keep on working on this, and like you say, you've been working on it since November last year, which shows how serious you guys have taken this and stuff like that. So I just want to ask you one last question before maybe we can move to the community. I just want to know, what do you expect in turn from the community on the project? What do you wish they could do to help you guys sustain the project in the long run?
So I mean, for us, kind of why we've been slow rolling this and not really telling people who we are is, I don't necessarily want everyone involved in this, because, we all relate to this problem. We've all been scammed. We've all lost a majority of our money because of this. So for us, we want a community that all has the same goal. It's not just about making money. It's nice, but I think people need to believe in the bigger goal of this project. Because, I mean, we're about protecting other people. We want investors that want the same thing and protect other people. We don't want a selfish thing where, like, oh, what do I get? How do I protect myself? It's about the bigger picture. Because if we can force change, by, demanding developers do better, the outlook for crypto as a whole just becomes so much better for everyone else. And we're not about us monetizing and pumping your bags. We're about pumping everyone's, like every single investor. We want them to have a better environment to make money. So I mean, that's kind of our foundation that we want built. We want our NFT owners to be the ones buying, holding, because they believe in our cause. We gave them all the rewards to hold the NFTs. Hold it. We'll give you guys supply with our other tokens. We'll give you guys tax if you get that rarity. Like, we're giving you over 30 reasons to hold. Like, we don't want our initial backers to just get rid of them. So, I mean, I just want like-minded individuals that agree and believe in what we're trying to do. And I mean, as far as me ever backing down, I mean, I don't know if people have heard me talk or anything, but this is how I've been for 8 months or longer. I'm always the most outspoken person when it comes to scams. Like I can't stand them. It's the most infuriating thing to me. And I don't care about what people think of me. If I see somebody doing something shady, I'm going to call them out for it. Because I mean, everyone is too scared to speak their mind to people because, they want to fit in or whatever else. Like I don't care about that. I am who I am. Either you're going to like me or you're not. I'm not going to bend to anyone's will because at the end of the day, I'm doing this project for investors. Like I don't need to beg them for me to protect them. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, are people tired of getting scammed? Do they want better option? I mean, we're here to help them. Help us, help you, pretty much. So I think that's about it.
That's really amazing. I mean, one of the things I look for to project owners it's when they come to the stage like this, and one of the things they put the foremost in their mind is them trying to help everyone involved in the crypto space, especially those who've been hurt before. And this is actually gonna go in a long period of time because thinking about the people who are getting involved in crypto every single day who really don't have much idea about how it works. And most of them at some point give up, right? Because just the beginning they already scammed. So I mean, why the hell do you want to continue and stuff like that? So I mean, it's gonna be really really amazing if you guys really make this work, and it's gonna benefit everyone. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna benefit everyone at some point because imagine you having a project and you feel safe that well your funds are safe. No one is gonna drain on the liquidity. The smart contracts are well safe as well. You know, it's more like you living in paradise because you won't be able to compare this period of time with what's happening right now. I believe at this point a lot of people in here are taking the time to dig in on the project to see which one is going to help them and stuff like that. So I mean, with what you guys are building here is something I would say is really really amazing, and we're gonna be looking forward to how this is gonna turn out in the future. And I believe like I said, if that's what you guys are trying to build, I believe everyone should be able to support you guys and stuff like that. So I think that's all my question for you, John. And so I think we'd like to move down to the community. I mean, if they do have questions about the project, I believe a lot of people here wants to get the question answered. So just in case of time as well, we want to get questions, and if there's any more information we'll be getting, I mean, we can have it after the questions. Is that fine with you?
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I'm here. We're tired.
Awesome.
I want people to hit me hard.
Yeah, I think throughout 2 days ago you already getting my community attention. So I think let's get questions from the community. So I'm gonna start with T-Rex. T-Rex, you're muted. You're free to ask a question.
Hey, Caleb, what's up? Thank you for the opportunity
Hey,
Hey,
buddy.
buddy.
and the nice presentation. Yeah, I love how calm you took the presentation. So yeah, let me go straight to my question. So I noticed you mentioned
Sorry, you broke up there.
Hey, T-Rex, I think we lost you.
You went
Okay,
extinct.
I think
oh,
you wanna come again
can
with
you
your
hear me?
yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I said I noticed on your roadmap that you guys have plans to have 3 tokens in your ecosystem, right? And we've seen projects that have struggled to keep up with 2 tokens, tokens, not to talk of 3. So it kind of raised a concern for me to see how it will survive. So I want to know if there's a system in place where these 3 projects will have like a symbiotic um how will I put it now? Like a symbiotic communication where they can all feed off from themselves and like have a kind of relationship.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, this is obviously a common question that we're getting because it's so different. So I'm actually going to make it more complicated. I mean, we're doing fixed launches because we're doing ETH and BSC to build up both communities at the same level. So, I mean, I would never attempt to do this if the token sucked. Because if I'm sitting here trying to sell you on some type of gimmick, it's gonna die after the first day. So with the 3 tokens, with the 6 different launches, they're built to be self-sustaining. As soon as we move on to the next token, we're handing all the tax over, to the NFT holders. I don't want to hold supply. I'm not going to allow anyone to hold supply. We just fired our marketing team for trying to get supply from us. So when we hand it over to investors, it will be truly their project. But I mean, we're not going to abandon anything. These tokens are part of our ecosystem. Every time we market the next launch or whatever, every single one of these will be, marketed with it. So, I mean, all of these are our tokens. The names tie into our name. So, I mean, these are my babies. I don't necessarily want to give them to people, like at all. Like all 3 tokens I had plans with. So, I mean, I just hope people understand that these aren't just some cash grab gimmicks. Like these are tokens that I could probably individually release and, make millions of dollars on. Like I don't want to give them to people, but I'm doing it to build the project. So I hope that answers that.
Yeah, I understand. I understand your point. I understand that these tokens, I know they won't be released together, right? And then investors might not necessarily share this sentiment. So that was kind of why I had to bring that up.
I
But
mean,
I think I get where you're coming from.
I get it. It looks a little shady and all that. But I mean, people have to remember this isn't we didn't start this project out doing this format. In order for us to finance this, we have to raise capital, right? I mean, it's kind of common sense. But how do you raise capital while protecting investors? I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, private backers are getting fat amount of bonuses and then they're just dumping on your heads. So this is a way for us to achieve 2 goals. We're building out our community. We're growing bigger after each launch, which makes, the next launch go bigger and bigger and bigger. And, it's covering our marketing. It kind of markets itself because we're going to have a reputation like, hey, we've delivered on our roadmap this many times. We've brought this many tokens to this many market caps. Not a single one of them has rugged. Not a single one of them has had the team selling off supply. We've never changed the tax on anything. So this is more of a trust exercise for investors. This is not a financial gain for us. I'm losing substantial money by giving people these tokens. So I just want people to appreciate what I'm able to do for people in order to get this project done. Like Ascend token was actually attached to a different project I was going to do for like a charity, but we know how charity tokens kind of went to hell. So, I mean, this was over a year ago. I never launched the project. So I've just kind of been keeping it on reserve for people. So this is our first basis for how we make a reputation for ourselves. The second and third tokens are tokens I wanted to make for so long because nobody's done them. The things that we're doing with those two tokens is going to make people copy us for years. And I mean, I guarantee it. We're not out to copy other people's trends or latch onto something. We're not going to be like a Tiki fork, like, hey, we're Tiki, but with a different name. We want to do something truly original for all the investors that helps them make money. So we're not holding supply on any of these tokens. I just want to make that very clear. So once we hand them over and everything, I mean, you guys are the ones that benefit from it. So hope that answered it more.
Yeah, cool. I get that. Thank you. Just to buttress. So with everything you are planning and you are saying, I want to believe all will go well. And if all goes well, you won't be able to avoid a case where you would have investors coming in to cash grab, so to say. So how would you avoid a scenario where an investor will sell off a token, like to purchase the next one launching, just to like extract the free flow of cash?
Well, I mean, you really can't avoid it. Everyone's doing it now, aren't they? It
Yeah.
happened to just our token. I mean, people like to pump and dump and whatever. What we're doing is we're making the token so good, like you would be stupid to sell. But I mean, this mainly applies to Ascend token. I'm not going to get into the other tokens, but you're going to probably not want to hold them. I'll just kind of leave it there. Second and third tokens are not made to moonshot, essentially. They're not made to go a billion market cap. We are giving people a different method for how to continuously reinvest their money, and just keep repeating it. I mean, you're doing it now already, right? I mean, you make money on a project, you take a gamble on another one, get rugged, maybe you don't. If you don't get rugged, you put it into another project, and hopefully you don't get rugged, which you probably will. So the second and third tokens are more ways that we're going to kind of play mind games with people. Like, we want to make trading tokens fun for people. Because, things like buyback, it's boring, it's predictable, and it doesn't work. What I'm doing is allowing people, like even the smallest holder can be a massive holder in the second and third token, because it's not a one size gimmick. We're not just going to launch it and moon through the roof and then kind of hope for the best after that, throwing money at marketing for calls to maybe push it a little bit further up. Those are not those tokens' purposes at all. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to reveal what we're doing with the second and third token until they're actually coded and everything, because if somebody was to try and copy us, we want to be able to just release it right away so people can't steal it. But, I mean, we're going to tell people, obviously, once we actually code the token. Like, it's not going to be like Ascend where we're coding the token after. So once we have the physical contract made and audited and everything, we'll reveal it to investors so then they can dig into it.
Honestly, I'm kind of very, very interested in seeing how this project will go. So, and from the way you're talking, I see the confidence already. So, big ups to you, man. Well done. Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks for that, T-Rex. Up next, we have the young investor. Young investor, you're muted.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. And so my question, I've been listening from the beginning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
You're a little low.
I've been listening from the beginning. Everything about this project is different from other ones I used to know. And on your website, you say that you have NFT, that your NFT holders receive half of your trade fees, and also they have control over your platform. So I would like to know, how do those NFT holders receive the trade fee? Will they receive it automatically? And how do you know your NFT holders to have control over the platform? Because it's quite confusing.
All right, good question. I'm surprised nobody's even asked me that. So I think I don't know the final numbers, like I said before, but I think it's only going to be, well, obviously for the platform side, it's going to be 100 people. I mean, for the one side, it's going to be 1 through 100, whichever NFT you mint. Those will get that side of the platform. And then you have 101 to 200 will get the other side of the platform. But we're not going to stop there because this is obviously going to go more than just 2 chains. So for, 201 to 300, we're going to give them, a different chain. Like if we go to Solana, they would get half of that platform revenue. And we're just going to keep doing it up until all 1,000 people get that perspective or that respected, platform's revenue. So how we're going to do the rewards for people is we're not going to do staking because I hate staking personally. So we're going to pool people's funds. Either we're going to do it every 1 or 2 weeks. I haven't fully decided yet. But say, if there's 80 people that are entitled to a reward, we're going to break the entire pool up 80 different ways. So, you log in and you click 1 out of 80 of that pool. So, I mean, it's very simple. We don't want to water down how much people are getting like tokens do. If you're a reward token and you have 800 holders, you're essentially getting pennies from your rewards. It's absolutely worthless. Most people can't even claim them because it costs more in gas. So we're trying to avoid that. We want fat rewards to fewer people. And I mean, the team isn't getting handed NFTs or anything. We're selling all 1,000 to the investors. I don't know the rarity. I don't know the mint order, none of that. It's all hidden. So, I mean, take your shot. I can't control what you get. I don't know where anything's going to mint. The only thing I do know is the numbers. I mean, 100 to 1,000. We know exactly what those are going to be for the order. Hope that answered that. Sorry.
Young investor, you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I get
Did
the
that
question.
answer everything for you?
Yes, thanks.
Thanks for that. Great stuff. So, up next, we have Greek. Greek, go ahead with your question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
can.
Hello. All right. Thank you very much. Hello, John. Thank you for coming around. And personally, I think I must commend your project. You have a very solid project, well thought out, and like Caleb was saying earlier, that it's something new. It's not something people are used to. I think most of us are used to INUs and IAPYs and all of those other shits that that are flooding the space. Yeah. So, but I have like a couple of questions here, but I think I'm gonna kick it off from the perspective of your launchpad. You talked about the fact that there will be no fees on the launchpad, right?
So we're obviously going to have listing fees because if we don't, we're going to get flooded by, every single project listing with us. So we
Yeah.
also have to, give some type of value to our holders. So say we charge $500 for a project to list with us. We're going to break it in half. Half of it goes to the NFT holders, half of it goes to the project. So, and
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great.
that's just part of it. And then the other side, is marketing. We're going to have marketing support, but I'm not going to tell people exactly how we're doing it until it's built. But what you see now in this space is so overpriced that, the only projects you're seeing on Dex tools are serial scammers. Let's be honest. No legitimate project is going to start out with six-figure bags to afford Dex tools. They're not going to pay $9,000 for CMC to get fast-tracked. So, I mean, we're trying to solve all these problems. We want even, the degen launches to have good marketing because we all got into the space for the degen stuff. Where you would stay up at midnight trying to grab the token that started at 500 market cap and then shot up to 3-4 million. So we want to, kind of bring that space back to people. No 500 market cap token can afford marketing. It doesn't matter if they're planning to rug it or not. I mean, they just flat out can't afford it unless they are serial ruggers. So, I mean, I don't want to shit on Inu coins and all that because we all got into the space for doggy tokens pretty much. Let's be real. But what we want to offer is a way for those doggy tokens and whatever to reach our investors because they're using safe contracts. They can't rug it. They can't sell off their supply. So it's really up to our holders to moonshot these degen tokens. So that's kind of how we're going to monetize things. Is it's not just like everyone's narrow-minded in this space with their launch pads. It's a simple we're going to take 2% of your capital raised. We're going to take your supply, we're going to dump it, and then just keep moving it over. For us, I would rather have, say, 15 project launches a day. But because we're building the community through those smaller launches, we're going to grow the project even more. So the way we're building it is kind of twofold. The pad is really meant to onboard and not cost us money to market because everyone doesn't like fees. I hate fees. You hate fees. We all hate them. So we're kind of growing it indirectly by giving people a platform that they want because it's free. I mean, who can compete with free? There's nobody. Like, I don't need to sell people on some type of gimmick on how do you make money or what makes your pad so different. It's right there, free. So, I mean, if anyone tries to compete with me, I will undercut them so hard that they can't make any money and they will die off because I do not need the launch pad. The launch pad is there purely for my other needs with the project. So, I mean, my ultimate goal is to make NFT holders money. My investors, I want them to make money. The only way I can make them money is by people using our platform. It doesn't have to be from us charging fees up front or this and that. People need vision in order to monetize things. The reason people don't do it is because they're lazy. I could have done a launch pad in December. It would have cost me $10,000, fully coded and everything, and I could have launched it. That's it. And I mean, we've had offers for over 6 figures to buy our supply. So, I mean, if we were out to just monetize things, nickel and dime people, we could have done that, 8 months ago. So, I mean, I just want people to understand the bigger picture with everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I think you literally touched on a couple of stuff I was going to ask because I was literally concerned that if it was going to be free and if it was going to be cheap, we would see a situation where every random dev comes around and they try to launch their product or their project, and they might end up being in a scam. So I was going to see if you were going to probably touch on your KYC process, and then also seeing that most launch pads now have will I say ready-made contracts, in the sense I know Pinksail does have it, in the sense that even if you are not a dev, you could just come on the platform, just by following the guide, input a couple of things, and then you already have a project ready, you've created, you've minted the tokens, and then they're ready to say get your pre-sale on the way. So do you guys have a system like that for your launchpad?
So I want to touch on, people's token creators, since it kind of ties into your question. People need to realize that, these platforms are not giving people this stuff for developers or whatever else. This is purely done out of greed for people. They are sitting back designing their project. What is the best way that I can extract as much money from project makers and investors? I mean, that's really the problem in this space. So we're going to give people contracts. I'm not trying to say we're doing anything new, like, hey, here's a token creator, because it's been around forever. What nobody will ever do is give people free contracts. I mean, all you do is pay gas and, put your info in, and you got yourself a contract. Because we're not doing all this stuff for monetary gain. I mean, it seems kind of crazy to people that we would do this, but we have to be different. Launchpads, there's 20 launchpads per week. And, most of them, they try to make their quick cash grab off the pre-sale for their platform token, and then the project's dead. There are so many dead launchpads out there, it's crazy. So we are using the token creator to onboard. We're giving them free contracts, so they'll use our platform, and in return, they get no fees taken from their capital, but then we move them over to our swap. The swap is really what matters. So, I mean, people need to connect the dots for how this all works. Like, it's all part of our master plan for this whole project. Like, we want to build the community up. We want projects to launch with us. We want to eliminate the bad actors, like Pink Sale or whoever, that are making an absolute fortune from this. I would much rather make 1/100th of what Pink Sale is making, if it means that we can make that for a decade or 2 decades or whatever. We want to have long-term growth because we have bigger plans for what this project is. So that should have answered everything, I hope.
Yes, and that brings, because I was literally trying to make a build up on my question, and then you touched on the swap, which leads to my final question. In that, it's a part question. Yeah, the first question is it for people to, or okay, let me approach it like this. How do you intend to say get liquidity for your swap? Are you planning to say use probably use Pancake Swap's liquidity, or how do you intend to incentivize developers to list their projects or push a little bit of their liquidity into your swap, for you to get trades or exchanging going?
So I'm not entirely sure what you mean with that question. So, I mean, in
When
terms of liquidity, we're going to have our own liquidity pools. Ideally, we don't need to tie people in or tie into another project's liquidity pools, because we don't want a middleman. If somebody was to hack Pink Sale, or not Pink Sale, Pancake Swap, what's to prevent them from accessing the liquidity for our projects, because we can't control it? So, I mean, ideally, the plan was always from the beginning to do the swap and the DEX at the same time, because we need both of them. Like, that's how this whole thing was envisioned, is those two things need to be together. So we're kind of twisting the plan with this. So we're essentially going to have to rebuild the entire launchpad after we do the swap. I mean, it's not ideal, but that's kind of what we have to work with, unless, some Bill Gates type wants to fund us. I mean, that's just kind of how we have to do it. So I don't know if that was your question or not.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to see. But basically, my concern was that, when projects launch on the launchpad, they have to say move their liquidity from the launchpad into PancakeSwap. their BNB, the BNB raised, and then also the tokens that will be swapped in. Yeah, most projects, they prefer, most projects launching on the BSE or on Ethereum usually prefer a certain form of exchange to push all of their liquidities into. And we see so many projects that have come after that claim they have swaps. Basically, what they do is they tie into Pancake Swaps. Will I see like an API, and then Pancake Swap is what is running the entire exchange, but they have like a dashboard, a personalized dashboard. So because they are unable to attract this developers to instead of pushing or taking their BNB raised and their tokens from the launchpad to, they are unable to like incentivize them to bring it to them instead of Pancake Swap. So I was a little bit just concerned how you would intend to work around, seeing that you said you don't even want to partner. Maybe that would be like one of the requirements to use your launchpad, and all of those things.
Okay, so I've kind of already went over this. Like, I don't know if you heard it. So we're not doing a fork job, which is what you're talking about, where we just copy some other Launchpad's code that has the router tied into, Pancake Swap. Because, I mean, that's essentially what all, Launchpads are doing. It's a generic, cheapest way possible to do it. I want to have people tie their liquidity into our pools. That's the only way that this really functions long term. Sure, we could launch the launchpad first and have, those projects at that time have their liquidity on PancakeSwap. I don't necessarily want to do that because, like I already said, it's high risk, and we're not actually having those platforms within our project. It's not really growing us, it's just growing, PancakeSwap or whoever. So I mean, that's kind of the goal. I'm planning for worst case scenario with this. Our entire roadmap is planned for the worst case scenario on how do we achieve our financial goals to fund all of this. Because I can't predict the future. I don't know how well the NFTs are going to do. If the NFTs do extremely well, I'm going to build all three platforms at the exact same time and just release them. I'm not going to stick to a roadmap or, delay launching stuff to keep hype up. If I'm able to fund the projects and the platforms, I'm going to build them. So I just kind of want to give people the worst case way of how I can give them something in case this doesn't go well. So, I mean, the Launchpad is obviously the cheapest thing for us to code. So that's why it's the very first thing on our roadmap. Because no matter what, as long as we mint out the NFTs, I can give people this Launchpad. Whether we do anything else after that, whether, our investors just suddenly vanish, we at least give people this Launchpad. And then, if we want to do it again, we'll just try to, recover so people will back our next swap. So that's kind of how we're doing this whole thing is, I want people to buy our token. And if we don't deliver on our roadmap, don't buy our next thing. Because so many projects do that. I mean, they have such a fake roadmap. Like I've seen so many projects that literally copy word for word other people's roadmaps. I don't want to be that. I want to give people a token, and then I'm going to deliver on our roadmap platform. And then I'm going to do it again, and I'm just going to keep replicating it until we finish it out. And then we have people that believe in us like, hey, these guys did everything they said they were going to do, which is what most projects will never do. They're selling you on a pipe dream that's probably a year or two down the road. And most people, the hype dies down, the token dies, and then the project's dead. And then, it just kind of goes quiet. Like, I don't want to build this that way. That's probably more than you wanted to know.
Yeah, I personally, I think it's very ballsy that you're trying to reinvent the wheel. We usually do not see so many developers come around and say things the way you are saying them. And I think for me, I feel I speak for almost everybody, and for the investors on this channel, it is quite strange. We usually get project owners trying to say patronize us into, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll cook up, or they cook up a lot of stuff, and trying to convince us to throw our money into them. Yeah, I personally, there are two things investors should look out for: the team and the project. And on my end, I think you've got both. You sound like a really solid person, and your project is pretty much amazing. And I would want to see how things play out, seeing your determination and how, or your perspective to, a couple of things in the space, and how you intend to like work around them. Thank you very much, Caleb. Thank you very much, John, for answering all of my questions and my concerns.
Thanks for
Enjoy
asking.
the rest
Good
of your day.
question.
Thanks for that, Greg. Let's also get a question from Rachel. Rachel, you're muted.
Thank you, Caleb. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Well, your project is wonderful. I mean, it's amazing. And the site contains a large area for details. That's good. But your project is also complex at the same time. I don't know if you understand what I mean. It takes time for the investor to understand the mechanism of action, transaction, and other. So my question is, how will the novice investor deal with your project?
So, I mean, I'm going to be honest here. The project is actually way more complex than what I'm telling people. So, I mean, I want people to frame this differently for what we're doing. I don't want people to buy the platforms, because in this space, people do not like buying platforms. They don't like funding it because it's the easiest way to come up with the use case to get funding. So what we're doing is, through the NFTs, we're giving people an immediate return and a reason to buy by doing the tokens. We want to keep people entertained through the tokens while we focus on the development side. So I don't want people to focus too much on the platforms or whatever else, because we're giving you guys 6 different launches in order to make money. So really, that's what you guys are buying into, is we're giving you 6 awesome ways that are safe to invest your money to, play the game to make more money. That's really what the space is about. You're buying something to make money. So we're giving people 6 different methods to do that. And, at the same time, we're giving you platforms based off of our revenue that we're getting from it. So it's kind of multi-functional on how we're doing all this, because, we've gone down this road. We were originally just, one token. And, people had issues with it, like, because, they wanted us to fund every single thing we were doing off of a $20,000 raise. And, I mean, $20,000 wouldn't even cover our token locker. So, I mean, we kind of had to bend the project and find new ways for us to get the funding to allow us to do what we're doing. None of us are making millions off of this. We're not going to make a fortune through high tax and whatever else. Through the Ascend token, we're making almost nothing, which I'll get into at the end of this on what we're doing. But I mean, these tokens are for investors. You guys are the ones that are out to make the most money. We're taking the fair launch money to fund the platforms. That's the entire purpose of why we're doing it. We're not doing it through high tax. We're not doing it through 20% tax in, 20% tax out. And by the time people sell, they're down so much money. So, our first token, I mean, it's 0% buy tax, 9% sell. It's not very hard to make money on it, because you're not immediately buying in the hole. Like, if you believe in what we're doing, hold it. Our sell limits are going to help you guys not be dumped on. So, I mean, it could be a mistake for us not holding supply off Ascend. Because if it was to go, hundreds of millions of market cap, I mean, the amount of money we gave up by not holding supply is astronomical. So, I mean, I just want people to appreciate the risk that we're taking by doing it this way. But, I mean, the tokens are not in it for us to make money. Our entire goal with this project is the platforms. We are just giving the tokens to investors to make money while they wait for us to develop. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Your project is amazing, really. Thank you, John. Thank you, Caleb.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for that, Rachel. Let's also get a question from Sujay. Sujay, you're muted.
Hey, Caleb. Hope you're doing well.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, thank you. Hey, John.
Hey,
How are you? I'm good.
Oh, I'm sleepy.
Now, I love your presentation so far. Very calm and composed. I like you're shooting straight. No beating around the bush. Really love that. I love your website too. It's quite elaborate. Explains a lot of things across the different features that you're going to provide. So my question was around the Ascend swap. Now I see the projects that launch on your launchpad, they automatically get listed on the swap or are available on the swap to be exchanged. But then you're also going to make this a swap slash decentralized exchange, right? So apart from the projects that launch on your launchpad, what tokens can we expect to be available initially on the DEX? Is it going to be like the top 100 tokens, top 50 tokens, or have I got this completely wrong?
Okay, so I mean, we can't force people to move their liquidity to us. So my ultimate goal is to speak to the top, 100 projects in DeFi and get them to move their liquidity over to us. And in return, I'm going to give them, all of their fees. Like, we're not going to, because we obviously have to make it beneficial for projects to move over to us. So the only way that works is by offering them something better than we can give, or than their previous person gives them. So, in those types of deals, we would exclude people from their revenue, because our goal is, if they have, 100,000 holders or something, it's worth us giving up the fees in order for them to get their users to our platform. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that I'm going to build this out in order to dominate, other projects, because no other platform is going to give up their swap fees or whatever, or make it 0% fee for their holders in order for them to move it over. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things at play here on top of what we're doing with the swap that I'm not going to tell people. But, some of the features that I'm holding back that only Clay knows about this. I mean, we're not out to just be a swap. We're out to change how people trade tokens. So, I mean, part of those concepts that I'm not telling people is the main reason why people are going to move over to us, because we can do what no other swap is able to do. Stopping token or contract sales is really just the baseline. Like, I'm doing it just because I hate contract sales. It's not the purpose of the swap. So, I mean, we're going to we want people to imagine, a different type of DeFi. Because, tax tokens are not meant to be around. That's not how DeFi started. And, everyone's been kind of Band-Aid fixing how it works. Because, every project originally started out, they had, no liquidity. They had none of that. It was just simple trade back and forth, whatever. Trust the devs, don't rug you, essentially. So we're trying to come up with a better foundation because I don't want to reuse anything that's out. Pancake Swap is so outdated, and yet everyone keeps forking it. I mean, Pancake Swap is essentially Uniswap, but done poorly. So everyone's kind of, stuck at like 50 years in the past technology wise with how much, projects have evolved. So we're trying to modernize how people trade tokens, how people view smart contracts. We're trying to reinvent the entire infrastructure of DeFi. So, I mean, when people tell us, like, hey, you guys are just a swap, you guys are just a pad or whatever, I mean, they couldn't be more wrong. We're out to change the space because the space sucks. If it didn't suck, we wouldn't all be losing our money, getting rugged. We wouldn't have to rely on stupid tactics like KYC, which obviously doesn't work. Audits don't work. There is absolutely nothing that works in this space because it's all built by people financially motivated. And then that's how they build their entire project is, how do I make money? We did it different, and how do we protect investors? So I don't know if that answers everything, but
No, it does. Everything, like you said, everything these days with these projects is a marketing gimmick. They call it different names, but in the end, it's just marketing.
yeah, I mean,
Be it audits, be it.
It's the best way for them to make your money. Everything you're seeing in this space is how they want to make money. From the calls to the audits to everything else, it's all designed to take your money. You think these audit companies care about things being safe? If you're getting paid $20,000 for an audit, I think that kind of messes with your intentions for what you're actually trying to do. So in order for us to change DeFi, we're going to make it impossible for these people to make money unless they adopt our methods. So, I mean, we're not worried about people replicating us. We expect it. Because if people don't replicate us, then we failed. So, I mean, that's really the only way we can change it is, we force people to put the investors first, to take less of a cut, make less money, which requires them to work harder in order for them to make money. So this entire project is basically that. We're not just like, hey, here's a gimmick, no contract sells, buy us. Or here's no fee launchpad, buy us. We are forcing people to adapt to what we're doing. Because if we're the free option out or the best option out, the only way you're ever going to compete with us is to either clone us or outdo us, which nobody's going to outdo me.
Yeah. No, I agree. The existing swaps are really outdated, and if you're saying you're going to build a swap from ground up, like from scratch, then there's definitely a lot of features that can be built into it, which doesn't exist today in the existing swaps because they're just plain forks of each other. So
Yeah,
every swap is pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, PySwap, right? I
Right.
don't know if you guys are aware of that. How much did they raise for their innovative swap? It was 10,000 BNB at the time, which was $5 or $10 million, something like that. And what did they do? They forked Pancake Swap. They told everyone that they were going to build this amazing thing. They raised all these millions of dollars, and they literally did a $10,000 job that takes maybe a week to do. And then they got hacked and lost millions. So, I mean, that's kind of what people are doing in this space. It's all just nonsense. So if you...
That kind of...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
So if anyone was around, I mean, some of the people in our chat can probably attest to this. Originally, I think it was December before PySwap ever launched, I had actually gave up fake concepts on our white paper on how we were going to route the swap because I assume that's how PySwap was going to do theirs. So my fake methods were actually far superior than the ones that they actually delivered, which I thought was kind of hysterical at the time, because I thought that they were going to do no contract sales through the DEX, but instead they did the poor man's way of just doing a router change. So I mean, it's crazy how people are doing things, and they're tricking all these investors, taking their money for it.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, though, for you to build all these features from ground up, I'm assuming that's going to take a lot of financial power, a lot of fat pockets, and then to give away 50% of the trading fees to NFT holders, that the NFT holders are going to receive a lot just by holding those NFTs. So, do you think this is sustainable? I mean, I'm sure you have done the math around it, but I was just wondering, this is going to take a lot of financial power to achieve and to sustain, at least initially, until people realize that this is a much advanced swap or launchpad compared to what we have today.
So I mean, the launchpad actually isn't that much. I mean, with all the custom work we're doing, I mean, max it should cost around 40 to 50,000. Like, I'm not gonna put a fixed number on it because I don't know exactly yet, but just from the quotes I've got, it's about 50,000 max to do it. So I mean, that's easily achieved just through the NFTs. So how we're gonna pay for the more expensive stuff, the swap and then the NFT platform, is we scaled the entire project up, because if you have seen tokens, they rug and then, oh, hey, Dev is making a new project. That alone is what builds more hype and makes them more money. So we're doing things a different way by not rugging, but using that same model that, hey, our first launch did this, here's our second launch, and then it goes bigger. So the tokens are scaled in the way that they are based on the platform's cost. Because the pad is the cheapest one, our first launch is obviously going to make the least amount of money. So that's why those two are tied together. And then, the middle token is way more advanced, and it should raise us enough money through the tax and through, the fair launch fees to fund that side of things. So, I mean, we're just kind of scaling it up. We're bringing a lot of value to the NFTs, which will also generate revenue for us to help fund everything. So we're not just trying to rely on tax, because it's not a guarantee. So, I mean, we just want to try and scale things up according to the platform's costs. So that's really why we need so many launches, because, our development costs for everything is probably going to exceed $1 million. So, I mean, we're not getting rich off this project by any means. Most of the money we make is going back into the development costs, or it's going into, helping the NFT people make money by giving giveaways. Because, once we get rid of the tokens, or once we move on to the next, we're giving NFT holders all the tax. We're not going to make money from them. So, I mean, it's a gamble, sure. But, I mean, everything in this space is so predictable. Why not be different with it? So that's kind of my foundation for how we built this, is we want to be truly different, and we want investors to see that we're different, because that's how you build trust within the community, is being original, not scamming them, and making them money. So, I mean, that's kind of how this whole thing's structured.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely a market to be captured, and if people realize that this is not just another fork of an existing project, I think funds and investments or investors shouldn't be a problem. I think that really needs the word to go out there. I just had one last question around the swap, if it's okay to ask.
Fine.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Philip. So I see you've mentioned the contract on your on projects that are listed on your swap cannot sell. So unless I've understood this incorrectly, how would the projects that have a reflection feature built into them work with the swap? Because those contracts would have to sell to be able to send those reflections, be it BUSD or BNB reflections, to their investors' wallets. How would that be handled?
I mean, that's actually really simple to solve because it's kind of a backwards way that swaps are doing it now. You know, they're essentially taking investors' money, overbuying supply to account for the tax, routing the tax to the contract, and then selling the tax. So, I mean, we're really just at the point of sale, we're routing everything from there. So when you buy something, you know, say there's a 10% tax, 5% goes into marketing, whatever it is. When people buy, that 5% will be taken because they're already buying it with fiat. We're taking that fiat and routing it directly to the wallet for the dev instead of buying tokens. So, I mean, if that makes sense, I mean, it's a really simple problem to fix, which is surprising that nobody's really doing it.
Right. But I've seen some contracts that are coded in such a way that when there is a sell or when there's a buy, the contract actually sells its own tokens to swap with whatever the reflection is in, and then that is what is sent to the investors' wallets. So maybe such contracts won't be allowed on your swap then?
So I mean, I don't want to give up our concepts for how we're doing it.
Sure.
But the simplest way to understand it is it doesn't really matter what their contract is. Tax is tax. So we're taking the tax and we're routing it. If they're trying to sell their tokens from the contract, it's not going to work. I mean, that's one of the first things we're blocking because it doesn't create transparency with investors, because who's going to sit there and watch, you know, the contract like, oh, the dev just changed the tax, the dev just did this, the dev just did that. So these are part of the problems that we're trying to solve. You know, is the soft rug. The soft rug is one of the hardest things for us to stop because there is so many different tricks that people can use to soft rug their project. So some of the concepts I'm doing that I'm not going to reveal ties into all that. So without giving up too much for how we're handling the no contract sales, it's essentially at the DEX level that we're interacting with the liquidity. It doesn't matter what people do with their contract. It's at the DEX level, if that makes sense. So that's our ultimate goal with the swap, and that's how we're ultimately going to protect investors.
That sounds fantastic. I'm convinced with all your answers and how you've explained them. This is really cool, and I wish the word gets out there and people realize the potential of this project and the features that you're going to bring out. So all the best with the project. I'm definitely going to be an investor. And
Awesome.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Yeah, anytime.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks for that, Sujay. I think we'll just get a few more questions and we'll try to round it up because I think we've taken more than 2 hours. But to be honest with you, John, this is really fantastic, and I wish we can spend 5 hours. But I know you, Sujay. You ready to stay all day.
Yeah, I mean, I can do this all day.
I know, right? So let's get a question from Clara. I think I muted you earlier, Clara.
Sorry if I took too much time, Caleb.
No worries, but Clara, do we have Clara? I think. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to ask about your Ascendance pad. How will you be accepting fees from project owners? And will you consider offering crowdfunding services?
So we're basically keeping it simple. We're going to charge people with a stable coin. I don't really want to accept fees and, volatile stuff. But see, that allows us to break down the split between us and our NFT owners more easily, because we're going to have a flat rate for every single thing we do, whether it's from, creating the listing or from marketing. We're going to have a flat rate that's reasonable and affordable that most people could afford, with just a little bit of money. So we're going to kind of do some more interesting things for how we're going to do marketing, because I want to focus more on promotion for projects more than volume of how many launches we do. Because since we're not taking, fees from people off their how much capital they raise and everything, we want to make their project as much of a success as we can by focusing our investors onto their project, because every investor that project brings on is eventually going to be a user of our platform. So we just want to, charge people upfront fees for very basic things that they need anyways. And then, that's how we're going to reward our holders. But we're not going to nickel and dime people by, charging astronomical stuff.
Okay. Will you consider offering crowdfunding services?
Oh, yeah, I'm
Like
sorry.
where-
I missed that question. So we're
Okay.
going to have the Angel Room, which is part of our NFT collection, and part of why we're building the forums out is we want people to, our investors to be the ground floor of their seed round. We're going to do a protected seed raise for them. We're not just going to let people get rugged through the private sale. I would never support private sale if I can't protect people's money. So part of what this project is, all the things that people need private funds for, our team that we're going to build out can cover for them. We're not going to take supply from it or any of that. If we ever do any deals with private funds, we're going to be paid back like a set amount of money, but it's not from supply, for us helping their project and protecting our investors. Because, I'm only aligning with people, that kind of match what I'm trying to do in this space, that aren't financially motivated. We're able to cut down on costs substantially, whether it's from custom contracts, adapt or any of that stuff. Even NFTs and art, we can handle for people for a fraction of what other people would charge them. So, really, we're about onboarding projects and helping them grow in the long term. And we do that through, our private rooms for people, through our marketing, and through everything else. Hope that answered it that time.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Lastly, how do you intend to
Go ahead.
how do you intend to having scammers and exploits on the land part? And how many percent do they need to have during the scrutinization before they can launch successfully with your launch pad? And do you have plans to partner with anti-scammers project who fight against such?
So the process is really kind of simple. You're going to have, if you're using a custom contract, we're going to have our dev go through, renounce every single malicious function that can be used to extract the liquidity, raise the tax, anything like that. I'm not going to make them go through this other crazy process of where we need to interview them or anything else and know their identity, because I personally don't care. My main goal is to protect people at the contract level. So that's it. Really, if your contract is renounced, you don't hold supply, you can list with us. It's really that easy. So, what was the other question? I'm sorry.
So I want to ask again, how many percent do they need to have during the scrutinization before they can launch successfully with your launchpad? And do you have plans to partner with anti-scammer projects who fight
Oh,
against
yeah, that's right. So if anti-rug groups want to partner with me, I'm always open to do it. But here's the kind of deep, dark secret that people maybe don't realize. A lot of these anti-rug groups are actually the one making the project, and then they rug. So, I mean, I would need to make sure that whatever deal we worked out is actually putting the investors first. I'm not just going to say, hey, we're going to overlook our certain protections because they came from your group and then we're going to allow them to list. I mean, obviously, if they're anti-rug groups, they're going to want their people to launch with us. I mean, it only makes sense, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to actively push them to try and partner up with us. If that's what they want to do for the sake of their members of their groups, they're welcome to reach out to me. But I mean, they just need to know that I'm not some amateur in this space, and I'm not going to fall for their dirty little tricks on how they can extract money from me or from my investors. So, I mean, I just want people to understand that I will only do partnerships with anybody that is exactly like myself. Because if they're in it just to make money off of me at the cost of people's safety, then I want nothing to do with them. So was that your question?
Yes. I must say, John, you have something great going on. I wish you the best. Thanks.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks for that, Clara. To be honest, John, with the question Clara just asked, something actually came to my mind, and I would like to ask about that. You know, mostly project out there with Launchpad. I've seen a couple of them having like AMAs on the platform, maybe just for them to get more information, you know, about the project, maybe before they're gonna launch on the Launchpad. So do you guys will you guys be having something like that? Maybe to fetch out more details about the project and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that kind of goes into the way I'm going to monetize everything that I'm not going to reveal. But essentially, I want something that's kind of self-running because I'm going to be too busy doing everything else to, you know, be on Telegram or whatever every single day, you know, hosting AMAs and everything. So our ultimate goal is to make this a self-sustaining platform where there's no middleman or anything else. It functions. So if, you know, people want more custom stuff, we can get into that. But if everyone kind of wants the same type of thing, I want to fully automate how we do it and how it's marketed and everything else. So if we were to hold, you know, AMAs and everything within the platform, that's kind of how I would do it. I'm not going to reveal our plans with it, but we have some thing going with it. Sorry, I had to kind of walk around that question a bit.
Anyway, while I was asking that question, something else came to my mind, and it's actually regarding partnerships. You did mention something about projects that the only time you're gonna accept on the projects if they do have the same goal working with you, right? But what about platforms that have just AMAs, you know, and maybe you know, I believe there are a lot of platforms out there that you know, they don't want scams involved. I mean, they don't want to have anything to do with scams and stuff like that. Do you look at something out for them as well before you partner with them, or?
So this is a tricky one because in order for me to partner with another platform, I would honestly have to go through and audit their financials to see how they're monetizing everything. Because there's just so many dirty little tricks in this space. And, you know, just because they say that they're anti-rug or whatever else, it honestly doesn't mean anything to me. So, I mean, I'm perfectly fine helping people, you know, maybe consulting on their project or how they can improve it to to protect their people. But I mean, if we want to partner up, it has to be beneficial to my investors before I'll even do it. Because if all I'm doing is helping them make more money, I mean, I don't really see how that benefits our investors at all. So, I mean, as far as, people trying to fork our project or anything like that, I mean, they can try, but it's not going to be easy. Because, I could just openly publish the code to people, but I'm not going to do that just because of the development costs involved. So, I mean, if people want to reach out to me with their platform and say, hey, we have this group, we want what you guys are doing for our investors, I'll help them out and do it. But the only thing that I would do is I'm going to be the one that makes sure that they can't take advantage of what we're doing. Because there are certain things that we're doing within the platform that makes it easier for platforms to scam. So, I mean, if we were to openly help people with, our concepts and our platforms, I need to make sure that there is no way that they can exploit what we're doing. So, I mean, we're not just going to hand them the code or whatever and just let them run wild. I would never do that. So, I mean, it's really up to them. I mean, if they all want to make money, I mean, everyone's in this space to make some money. But they need to realize that we're not here to make them substantial amounts of money. They need to be content with a smaller piece of the pie because it achieves the ultimate goal of protecting investors. So if anyone was to partner up with me, they need to make sure that they align with what I'm doing, which I don't think many people are going to pass.
Yeah, let me try to elaborate what I meant by that. Let's say, for example, right, you have a partnership with Gold Digger, for some certain reason. Okay, and we all know that there might still be great project owners out there looking for a launch pad, and most of them really don't know where to go to and stuff like that. So let's say since Godiga is a launch where they host AMAs, and maybe one of the project owner comes on and asks, maybe me that, well, do you know about a launch pad that can launch my project safely and without anything involved and stuff like that? I can easily direct them to your launch pad because we had a partnership and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why I was asking about that.
So, I mean, in terms of that, if we have previous, history together and working together and, everything's turned out good, I have absolutely no issues working out these type of deals to funnel things. Where I would draw the line is if, say you were paid by the project owner in order to use your connection to me to try and get some kind of special type of deal for their project. Like, this space is, trust. If people break my trust, I will cut off all ties to them and I will never work with them again. But if people are out there, helping achieve my goal and they're doing it honestly, I mean, I'll go through great lengths to, make them a part of this project. So, I mean, that's kind of where our forums tie into all this. If people are trustworthy and stuff, I will bring them on to interact with the community and everything else. Because ultimately my goal in this is not to be your guys's, leader and everything else. I want you guys to build relationships with each other. Kind of like what's going on here. I want a community because ultimately the community is what makes the community grow. I do not make the community grow. It's you guys. If nobody wants to be in a project with 10,000 people that don't like each other or 10,000 people that don't talk or whatever. So, I mean, I want people that are good at what they do. They're good at community interaction and stuff like that. I want them to be the face of the project and who, project makers interact with.
John is like no monkey business. Man, you caught me there. You were like, well, I wouldn't want it if you're gonna get some kind of money from the project owner and you direct them to my platform and stuff like that. It's more like you don't want to monkey business. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's. Go
so
ahead.
part of what the problem in this space is, it's all backdoor deals. It's so many deals that investors don't realize are going on behind the scenes before a project ever launches. And I mean, that's the ultimate problem in this space. Everyone is getting rich off of your investment. The project makers aren't necessarily the issue, it's everyone else with their hands in the cookie jar. So, in order for me to do a partnership with somebody, I need to make sure that they're not using what we're doing in order to, extract as much possible money from projects. Because those type of deals I will never do with people. I've never done them in this project, and I will not support our partners doing those deals. So, I mean, if people want to get on with what we're doing, I have high expectations and high morals that they need to follow. Otherwise, they're out, and I will trash them until they're completely out of this space, because I do not want people at all in this space that are doing those type of deals. So, I mean, it may seem hostile to people, but it's what people need to do in this space to force the change. If somebody tries to scam me, which, obviously I kind of went into last night with our marketing people, I'm going to publicly blast them because they deserve it. They deserve to be named for trying to take advantage of our investors or potential investors to steal their money. Like, those are the type of things I will never tolerate with anyone. I will never launch this project if that's the only way we can do it. And that's why we haven't launched in almost 9 months. It's all about protecting investors. It doesn't matter if we can't launch this project. It has to be done correctly.
Thank you so much, Jen, and for answering all of my questions. And thank you, everyone, as well, for your questions. I think this is how we're going to draw the curtain. And I'll just like to say to you, Jen, this is actually great stuff you're doing here. And my advice here is keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up. And sometimes things like this takes time, and sometimes you might feel like, well, people are not getting involved and stuff like that, and you can get so frustrated, and stuff like that. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. You're really doing great here, and you don't have to worry. The Gold Diggers family, the community are always going to support you. If you do have any information in the future about the Ascendance, please feel free to share with our community, for we're gonna accept every little thing about what you have to offer. And
So I kind of want
before, yeah, go
to. So I
ahead.
want to kind of reveal what I was talking about this morning or last night or whatever time it was
Yeah,
for you.
that's true. That's true. That's a secret you say you're gonna reveal.
So what we're gonna do for people, which I've already cleared with my team, is for a 24-hour period after we open Mint. Since our starting mint is around $250, every single person that buys into it within that 24-hour period is going to get, if they mint 5 NFTs, they're going to get that amount of tokens back. So we're basically giving you guys a free mint. So, I mean, this is kind of a more exclusive deal because we've only done 2 AMAs. I mean, people don't really know about us yet. I mean, so it's your guys' perfect chance to get into it, and we're going to give you guys the supply. So, I mean, you guys can do whatever you want with the NFT after. It's your way into our project and our ecosystem. Or if you just want the supply, I mean, that's a method to do it as well. So we're kind of open mint here shortly, like in the next couple hours. So if people want to take advantage of that, we're going to cap it to 24 hours. So it's whatever is minted at that, and then I'm never doing that deal again because it's not very smart. So, I mean, I'll keep everyone updated with it.
That's really amazing. So, yeah, I think that's how we're gonna draw the curtain. And John, do you have any final words you want to say to our investors here before we bring this to a close?
Yeah, I mean, I just, I've been trying to convey our point that this is a different type of project. We're not out to clone roadmaps or gimmicks or anything else. If people see holes in our project that can be improved, I always encourage them to reach out. Anyone will tell you, if they tell me something is wrong, I will fix it. Because, I need people's eyes on this to tell me something that I don't realize. So, maybe somebody has a better way to do something and I haven't thought of it. Reach out to me, explain what your idea is, and I'll see if I can do it. This platform is for the investors. So if you have a way to make it better, we're going to build it build out your idea, and you don't have to pay for it. If it's something you've always wanted in a platform, let us know and maybe we can build it for you. So, this is really the people's platform that we're trying to build for everyone. So, really just, interact with me. I'm always around. If you have questions, concerns, whatever, I'm about the most transparent person you're ever going to find. So, I just want people to believe in what we're trying to do and change DeFi, because the space currently sucks. So I just want everyone to get on the train.
That's great. So I believe everyone in here have idea about the concept, and if you still have more questions about the Ascendance, please feel free to join the Telegram. And I believe John is so friendly person. Even before the AMA, I haven't seen him talking to my investors, our community. He's really a great guy. So if you have any question, don't feel shy. Feel free to maybe send him a message, or you go to the Telegram channel and ask your question as well. So thank you so much, Jen, and for coming over. It was really a great honor having you. And in regards to the Gold Digger team, we wish you great luck to the project, and we hope that you have a great milestone up front. So this is where we're gonna draw the curtain. But before that, I want to ask you, John. You say we're gonna be giving out the whitelist and whitelist spots worth of $250 plus to our community. So I would like to know, how many do you wish to be giving out, because we do have a great questions today. So I would love to give out to people who did ask some great questions. So I would like to know how many you plan on giving out.
So we're planning to give out 10 total for our whitelist, because we don't want to, water down the NFTs and why you want to own them. So, for you guys, we're going to give out 2 whitelist spots into the token, which is essentially over $500, depending what the final mint will be. So, I think that's a great way to give back to people. If they like their tokens, then, it's a way for them to make money that way, because no matter what, at launch, you're going to make money from it. So maybe you don't want the NFT or whatever. That's perfectly fine. So this is your way to get it.
Awesome. So anyone who's going to be having the whitelist spot, and if you don't want to use it, please feel free to give me back, because I want it as well. Because it's actually something unique. We've seen that a lot of whitelist spots out there, once you have them, it's just a waste and stuff like that. So imagine you have.
Yeah, we missed one very important aspect with all this.
Oh my word! Go ahead, Jen.
So we aren't doing a public launch for any of these tokens. It's on the website, but maybe people missed it. The only way to get into these tokens is through the NFTs. So when I'm handing people these NFTs, I'm essentially giving you the only access into these tokens before they ever hit public. So, we're never doing a public fair launch. We're never doing a pre-sale. It's all an NFT private fair launch for every single thing that we do. So I think we kind of missed that part about it.
Well, it's a good thing you had to remember. At least, even if you didn't have enough sleep, it didn't affect you quite much. I was expecting you to sleep talking, but it seems like your mind is forever in Ascendance. That's really amazing.
Yeah, not bad for a couple hours of sleep, huh?
So this is a good recording. So I'm gonna be open the I'm gonna be stopping the recording right now. I think we almost spent close to 3 hours. Not bad because it's actually what it. The AMA was very, very educational, and it's good that we always try to see something new, especially in the space. Try to build out something new. I believe most of us are kind of fed up with the normal trend we're having. So I think a lot of people here did enjoy what they had today. So I'm gonna be stopping the recording, and I'll be sending you your copy on a private chat if that's okay with you. And I'm also gonna be posting mine on our announcement channel for anyone who wish to listen to it again and stuff like that. So I'll be stopping the recording right now.